Good evening, Hendrick Hudson community. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of May. It is 5:34 p.m. This is Superintendent Joseph Hochreiter, and we are going to convene our school board meeting shortly. This meeting is being live streamed from the district office. Also in the district office is myself and Enrique Catalan, our assistant superintendent for business, and our videographer and technology specialist, Greg Cavalieri, is here. And with that, I'll turn it over to our board president, Dr. Poplo Abraham.
Hi, good evening. This is Wednesday, May 6th of 2020, and can I have a motion to open the meeting, please?
So moved. Lisa?
Seconded by Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, so first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda as stated, please?
So moved by Bill.
I'll second, Lisa.
Any opposed? Okay. Does anybody need to pull anything from the consent agenda this evening?
No.
Okay, sounds like a no. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I approve. I make a motion. Barbara?
Seconded by Bill.
Any objections?
No.
All right, excellent. It looks like we did not have any items prior removed from the consent agenda, so that brings us to our superintendent's report this evening.
Yes, we updated a couple documents on the superintendent's report so the public...
Joe, are you here?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. We added a couple documents to the superintendent's report for the public to review. The first item is our budget update. So I will turn it over to Enrique Catalan to share with the community where we are in terms of our budget.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to give a very short update because there's not a lot to update from the last time. So, Greg, on the revenue reductions, we already discussed all these revenues. We were reduced by $160,000 in state aid. We're expecting about a reduction of $450,000 in sales tax receipts. Reduction in other income, that it's basically interest income. I'm expecting a reduction of $150,000. On the other hand, we have new revenue increases. We agree with Entergy on a memorandum of agreement for a 2-year period. Originally, the pilot was going to be reduced by 30% the first year and an additional 30% the following year. We agree that the reductions will be, instead of 30%, 25% the first year and an additional 25% for the second year. That represents an increase of $625,000 for the 2021 year. Originally, the pilot payment was going to be $21.2 million, and now it's up to $21.9. Any difference between the revenue increases and revenue reductions will be funded by additional fund balance, and that difference is $135,000. So this is where we have the budget today. The board will vote in our next board meeting. Joe will be talking about that. But if we approve the budget as is and we make no changes, then those are the changes in the revenues. Any questions?
Do we have any questions from the board? I think it's great that we were able to change those pilot agreements. We certainly can use the extra funds at the moment. So thank you, Enrique, for those efforts. All right, Joe, I think that brings us to our next item.
Yes, with the governor's executive order that came out on Friday, in typical fashion, talking points come out around midday, and then the details and fine print and red tape come out later. So what we produce is just a quick one-pager on what the community can expect in terms of a revised timeline for all matters pertaining to budget and election. So we identified the 5 major impact areas that the governor's executive order created. First is the uniform voting date. That will take place now on June 6th. The vote will not take place on May 19th. It will take place on June 6th. The manner in which everyone will vote is they will receive basically a version of an absentee ballot. So all registered voters in the Hendrick Hudson School District will receive a absentee ballot with a addressed and stamped return envelope for those to be mailed back to the district before the close of business on June 9th. Those that require an official absentee ballot will still be entitled to one. Those are folks who are out of the country or are registered voters and not able to be able to send in a normal ballot that we're mailing to their homes. That will still be an option for them. The school budget report cards, these will be submitted to New York State no later than May 22nd. The budget report card is the information around revenues and expense projections, as well as other mandated reporting requirements, including potential contingent budget and the like. And lastly, school board elections. The governor has waived many of the requirements for a school board election. And if anyone is interested in running to be a school board member, earlier today we posted the process on our website of how to fulfill those requirements or amended requirements by the governor. What's not on this document are 2 important dates that the board has been made aware of, and we put these dates on our district calendar. The first is next Monday, May 11th, will be the budget approval process. We will have another meeting like this where Enrique and I will walk the community through the budget and seek the board's approval. And what that does is that kicks off a series of events with mandated reporting to New York State, as well as preparation of budget materials for the community. On May 27th, we will host our budget hearing, also at 6 p.m. The budget hearing will be different because all of our school board meetings, until further notice, are not open to the public for physical and social distancing reasons. So what will happen is basically we will accept comments and questions by way of email, and those comments and questions will be read out during the budget hearing on May 27th. If we do not receive any emails with questions or comments, then we will not. We will start the budget hearing, and then we will immediately adjourn it because there are no comments or questions. So. That's what we can expect in this very truncated and abbreviated timeline that the governor has set forth. It goes without saying that this executive order has placed a very huge stress on all school districts, notwithstanding our own. To try to conduct a full budget vote by mail is going to be very time-consuming and is going to be extremely costly. It's going to cost us in upwards of $50,000 to pull this off. Moreover, while we understand that election or vote by mail has some positive attributes, what we don't yet know is what the guidelines will be for counting those votes. In a normal vote, in normal circumstance, there are very specific procedures that need to be followed from the Board of Elections. We don't know what those will be, but when a number of individuals are manipulating paper ballots, and manipulating I mean by handling paper ballots, I don't see how we can not have a group of people in a small confined space trying to count ballots. So there are a lot of questions that remain. While these dates may be out there still are many questions that various advocacy groups are trying to get a better handle of. If there are any changes, we'll share them with the community. But this is the best that we know, and this is what we have been advised to share with the community. So information is on our website, and these target dates of May 11th and May 27th will also be on our calendar on our website.
Thank you very much, Joe. Are there any other updates this evening?
The only other updates are that we are continuing to work and teach digitally. Yesterday was Teacher Appreciation Day, and there were a number of events highlighting the outstanding work that our educators, not just in Hendrick Hudson but nationwide, have had to produce. The resiliency and the creativity by our staff, by all teachers, has been nothing short of phenomenal. Over the last 2 weeks, we conducted a series of surveys with our staff, held various meetings by department or grade level to get an understanding and really take stock and inventory of different strategies, different technology tools and applications that are being used. We also have heard a very specific call from some families to increase the amount of face-to-face instruction in terms of whole class or small group by way of video conferencing. So we've taken that feedback from parents and our staff, and we'll be making some adjustments to our plan to make sure that all kids have the opportunity to connect with their teachers multiple times throughout the week. We've been highlighting some best practices through different podcasts that I've hosted. Laura Nair has been updating her website, the instructional technology website, with a series of different opportunities for staff to use and try new applications and also to review them. Starting on Monday will be a very aggressive staff development push for those that need additional support. So it may not be uncommon over the next few weeks if a student's teacher indicates that they're not available during the day because they're participating in some technology training. So that was also a byproduct of the meetings we had with teachers over the last couple of weeks. So as the governor indicated on Friday, we'll finish the year in this fashion. We don't know what will take place or what the mandates will be over the summer. But we know that we are not hosting any summer programs because of school construction, which is still slated to begin on time. But as we receive additional updates, we'll certainly share them, and we're just very proud of all of our staff for how they've responded so far. And I'll leave my comments there.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, our committee report. And I know, Lisa, you had something to share about the Westchester Putnam School Board Association, and we're also, after the committee report, is going to be discussing our administrative board election and budget.
Thank you. Westchester Putnam School Board Association has continued to have weekly town calls with the president or vice president, somebody from each school district in our area. The one for this past week, we discussed seniors for graduation, grading updates, and budget and cost control and reopening plans. Additionally, I'd like to put a little plug in for advocacy efforts that Westchester Putnam is doing right now to gain additional federal funding and support for New York State public education schools. There is a e-letter that you can send quite easily. It's on our district website. You can also access it from the New York State PTA's website, too, if you just look under advocacy. And I'd encourage everyone, if you've not already done so, to please send out those letters to encourage our federal representatives to increase funding for our state and for our kids. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So next up is the Westchester Putnam School Board Association Administrative Board Election and Budget. I hope everybody's had a chance to have a look at that. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments about either of those items? Okay, so Lisa is going to be our representative at that meeting. She is also on she's a member of the Westchester Putnam School Board Association and was gracious enough to attend the meeting and log our vote for us. So I do need to ask for a motion to approve the Westchester Putnam School Board Association Board Election and Budget proposal.
So moved by Lisa.
I'll
Second by Lori.
Fine.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? All right, fantastic. Next up is our audience comment section. Instead of live audience comments at the moment, because of the constraints of our format, we are allowing people to email or mail in their comments ahead of time. And I do not believe we had any comments mailed in ahead of time this week. Is that right, Carmen?
Actually, I'll jump in. We did very close to our deadline, but we did receive a couple questions from a parent who I've already exchanged emails with. But for purposes of the public record, I'll read the questions. The first question is: since spring break was canceled and there are no Regents exams, will the last day of school? What will be the last day of school in June? As of now, I'll answer that question. As of now, our calendar has not changed. We're waiting for further guidance from the governor and the state education department, whether or not, because we had school through spring break, whether or not we can move our end of year day up. But right now it remains the same. But if we receive additional guidance, we'll certainly share that with all of our families. The second question was, what about senior activities? When will those take place? I don't want to plan summer travels and have to double back for a yearbook signing or graduation. Right now, there are no senior events taking place because of social distancing protocols. I know Mr. Mackin is working with a team of students as well as parents at the high school to try to make alternative plans for graduation. I believe there's another follow-up meeting on Friday, and once some decisions are made, we'll communicate those with families as well. And the last question was that some summer camps are opening on June 29th. Will camps occur in our district? And I responded to the individual saying that there will not be any summer camps in the district because of school construction. So summer camps in the district have been off the table for quite some time. So again, those were questions posed, and I have had subsequent conversation with the individual who posed them. And
All right, thank you very much, Joe. Did I just cut you off? Did you have something else?
No, we're good.
Okay, great. So that brings us to board comments and new business. Does anybody from the board have any new business or comments that they would like to make this evening?
It's Lori, Carol. May I?
Yes, you certainly may.
Okay, I'm glad that Joe mentioned something because I'm the senior coordinator in my school and we're working on our virtual graduation, etc. Have we gone any further with what we're doing? Unless I didn't read it, I apologize, about the grading for fourth quarter and how we're averaging the year.
Yes, based on some feedback from families and kids and working with staff, there is, and I'll send it to the board, there's basically a rubric that was created that calls for still a pass-fail for fourth quarter grades, but an opportunity based on work product and based on student performance during the fourth quarter, that they could actually bump up their overall grade in the course. So I don't have it in front of me, but basically it's a 3-point rubric where grades can't go down because of the fourth quarter, but your final course grade can go up based on your fourth quarter performance. And the high school, and I agree with it, thought that that was important to keep a level of motivation for students. And staff felt it was important as well, because sometimes there's a big gap sometimes within pass. A pass could be a 100 perfect score, and a pass could also be a 65. So Mr. Mackin worked with his team, sought some input from some of his colleagues around the region to see what other schools were doing to try to keep motivation high, as well as provide some sort of academic reward for those students. But I can send that document to you.
I thought we were just banking that on third quarter, where everybody was getting adapted and some kids just weren't on board yet, etc. And I thought fourth quarter we were going to go more numeric. Only because, being in the swim of things, we have some kids who are just simply thinking they don't have to do any work. So when you do that pass-fail, how is that going to count for the year, and what percentages of it? So what we're doing is first, second quarter, and midterm are like 67% of their grade. It was an incomplete for third quarter. However, we're going to go back to some kind of numerical system for fourth quarter, just to make sure kids know that they have to stay accountable, especially at the high school level. Is it carved in stone yet, or is there still room for discussion?
I would say it's carved in stone from the standpoint that the fourth quarter's begun. I know that they made adjustments going back to the third quarter. They looked at the number of students who had grades when we closed on March 13th, because we heard from a number of parents that student effort was high, and that their grades, at least for the first half of third quarter, should somehow be recognized. But there was no discussion for a numeric score in fourth quarter, mostly an opportunity to bump up your overall GPA.
From what I understand, teacher comments on the report card are also going to be indicative of the student effort during that quarter.
I know. I usually don't hear from some people because, as you know, my children are older and not in the school. But I've never heard from so many parents about not liking not having a numerical grade. I happen to agree with them, but I told them to, I put them on the right path of who they were supposed to talk to. But I just think that's unfortunate, quite frankly. But you guys, this is what everybody has decided, and you're comfortable with this. But there's nothing I can do, but I would prefer a numerical grade for fourth quarter.
Okay, thank you for your input, Lori. Does anybody else have any board comments or new business? Okay, so I would just like to say, Joe mentioned before that this is Teacher Appreciation Week, and on behalf of the board, I would like to thank our teachers. These have been very, very trying times, and people have had to learn new technologies and new ways of teaching and modify their coursework in a very short amount of time, as have the parents as well. So, we have a wonderful staff at this school. Our teachers are fantastic, and they have been demonstrating that just fantastically during these past 2 weeks. So thank you very much to our teachers. And with that, I think that we're ready to have a motion to adjourn.
To exec session.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. We're going to close public session and move into exec session. So first thing we need to do is close the public session.
I'll move again.
Seconded by Bill.
Second, okay.
Any objections? All right, so we will be moving into executive session now, and for the public, have a good evening.